Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Christopher Garcia, and I'll be coordinating in the background. Today's webinar is Cybersecurity Awareness and Resources. We're going to go over some webinar ground rules, and then I will turn it over to our special speaker, Stefanita Rawlings, Center Director of the Technology Commercialization Accelerator at New Mexico Tech. So I see our attendees are coming in. And I want everybody to put their questions into the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. So just make sure the Q&A is working. Can you put a hi, how are you, good morning, get lost into the Q&A for me, please? Adam says hi, Adam, hi, Adam. Good morning, Scott. Mr. Scott, hi, Gabriel. Hello, Robert. And I am doing fine, thank you. Okay, I see you guys are using the chat, or I mean the Q&A, and it's working well. If at any time during the webinar something goes wrong, you can't see or hear, I would ask you to raise your hand. And so I know the hand's working. Can everybody raise their hand for me? Thanks, Linda. Okay, I see a whole lot of hands raised, so I'm going to lower everybody's hand. And I know everything's going well right now. And I'll turn it over to our speaker, Stefanita. Stefanita, take it away.
Thank you, Christopher. Christopher Garcia is very helpful with our webinar, so I want to give him a special thanks. Greetings and welcome to today's webinar called Cybersecurity Awareness and Resource Webinar. My name is Stefanita Rawlings, and I am the Center Director for the Small Business Development Center, Technology Commercialization Accelerator, and New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology here in Socorro, New Mexico. I am glad to see so many people here attending the Cybersecurity Awareness webinar. I'm glad to see that you are all interested in looking for information regarding cybersecurity. My goal for this presentation is to expose you to cybersecurity practices to put into place to help protect your small business from cyber threats. Also, to expose you to the small businesses of New Mexico to cyber resources that are available for small businesses. I will talk to you about some major federal agencies that provide resources. These agencies have written recommendations and guides for you to set up a strategy and to set up policies to help your small businesses stay cyber secure. We will learn some terminology and talk about top practices and top practices that your business should put in place to secure your business. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about my SBDC Center. The program is part of the New Mexico Small Business ecosystem. We have 19 centers in New Mexico. We are under the SBA umbrella, which is at the federal level, SBA, and then SBDCs are at the state level. My program provides no-cost confidential counseling to the residents of New Mexico regarding intellectual property, which includes patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. The mission of the SBDC is to develop skilled entrepreneurs and strong businesses. Here at the TCA, we like to move our clients forward with their ideas as they work towards commercialization. We provide education and training events to help our innovators learn the process of protecting their intellectual property. Our other role is to provide cybersecurity awareness to the small businesses of New Mexico. So this is one of my other hats. So thank you for attending this event. I want to let you know that if you have any questions, we will put them in the Q&A as Christopher had you test to see if you could get to the Q&A. Also, we will be, because we are state funded, we need to report to our stakeholders. And so we will provide a survey right before the Q&A session, and I'd like you to fill it out. I really would appreciate it, okay? So we will start with our presentation. So we will go through some terminology, and then I'll talk to you about the agencies, and then I'll talk to you about some best practices, okay? So terminology, when we say cyber, that means relating to the internet, connecting to the internet, which includes computers and computer networks, or it's any device used to access the internet, even your cell phone, okay? Cybersecurity is the protection of computer systems and networks from unauthorized users, people that are not supposed to be getting into your systems. And a cyber attack is when an unauthorized user tries to get access to your computer. They try to, because it's an attack, okay? To your computer or your computer network in order to steal your data or to damage your software, hardware, or to disrupt your services that you provide, okay? You are small businesses. You want to keep your businesses up and running. A cyber attack will try to put you out of business for a bit, okay? Phishing. Phishing is an email method used to attempt to obtain your credentials so that one can get into your computer system. Phishing is the #1 way to hack and compromise your system. So we will go through this and we will learn about educating your employees about phishing. Some ransomware is software that gets access to your system. It may encrypt your data. It can lock you out of your devices and systems. And then they can demand a ransom to be paid. And in theory, if a payment is made, they should provide a key that would allow you access back to your system. Another terminology is virus, and that is an unauthorized software running on your system with the intent to break the system or allow hackers access to your system. And then malware is another type of malicious software that is designed to cause harm to computers, servers, and or devices. So I bet you guys are really scared right now going, oh my God, all those words. But there is an antivirus, okay? And this is software that identifies viruses running on the system and either quarantines or uninstalls the bad software. And then a data breach is when your data has been stolen and either sold to the dark web or is published on the hacker's website. And then the last terminology that I talk about is hacked. It's when you get notification that someone has your data or they could be requesting money to release your system. So I told you that I would be talking to you about some of the federal agencies that are around that provide resources to small businesses. And the first one I'm going to talk about is called the National Institute of Standards and Technology, also known as NIST. It's a government agency that creates standards, guidelines, and best practices for the U.S. industry, federal agencies, private and public businesses. This agency has produced what they call frameworks. And so they have the privacy framework, which addresses privacy. And when I talk about privacy, this is data privacy. Who has access to your data? And then another framework that they came up with is called the Cybersecurity framework. And this has to do with your devices and how you have them out there, how to protect them, okay? And then there is a NICE framework, and this enables organizations to develop their workforces to perform cybersecurity work. So they have another framework. And then another big framework that is used by our contractors that contract to the government, to the tribes, to the counties. They have to be NIST SP 800-171 R2 certified to become contractors to the government. And so there is about 17 different forms that need to be completed if you want to work for the government as a vendor to the government. And most of our training on this program is done by Apex. If you've worked with Apex, Alethea, I can never get her last name. but she does a lot of these trainings. And so if you're looking to become a contractor to the government, you will have to be compliant with this NIST SP 800-171 R2 framework. The privacy and the cybersecurity framework are all volunteer cyber awareness frameworks for small businesses. So I'll go through the privacy framework and then the cybersecurity framework, and you'll see that there is a correlation between all of them, okay? And so one of the most important things when you're starting your framework work or developing your response plan, or that we'll talk about in a little bit, is you need to identify all the data that because privacy deals with data. You need to identify the data that you're processing from collection to disposal. This could include customer, client information, your supplier information, your human resource information. So you have to identify what you're collecting. What do you have on your systems that you need to protect? And then once you know what you have to govern them, and you have to know what your privacy obligations are. Are you collecting HIPAA information? You need to protect it. They have standards on that. FERPA, there's standards on that. And so you need to know why you're collecting that and why you need that information and what obligations you have to a third-party vendor or to your customers and clients, because they are your customers. Okay, and then you have to control your data. Control's another recommendation that they do, and control the data you're collecting it. Why are you collecting it? What are your policies? Why are you doing this? Because if you collect it, you have to protect it. And then here's the big word that we will hear over and over and over this: you have to protect it, okay? Protection can be who has access to the data, what software you're using to protect your data. Are you backing it up in case you lose your data? Do you have policies of disposing your data and devices after a client leaves your business, or maybe an employee leaves? What are your process when a person leaves? Do you make sure that all their credentials are taken off the systems? So this is a big thing, protect. And then communication. Communication is very important. One of the goals of this is to start building a cybersecurity culture awareness in your small business. So educate your employees on your data processing activities. Come up with a plan if you have a data breach. This is going to be your response plan, and we'll go over that. And how will you notify your stockholders, your clients, that their data has been breached? You have to come up with a plan. So privacy can be a protection of sensitive or personal information, the trust of how the data is handled and not misused or exposed. So this is the privacy framework from NIST. Now we will go over the cybersecurity, which has to do with devices. And again, you'll see these same words here. Govern, okay? So you'll notice that this cybersecurity framework is 2.0. So they had a previous one, and what they have done is they have added govern to their recommendations. So the govern function helps to establish and monitor your business cybersecurity risk management strategy. So hopefully after this class, you will start looking at your cybersecurity strategy and come up with a response plan and a recovery plan. And then your policy regarding data, using your systems. Do you allow people to bring in their cell phones and use them in your own small business? And then you'll need to identify. Here we go, identify. Know what you have. What do you have? Okay, identify your critical processes, something that maybe accounts payable does. How's the process doing? Any of your assets that you have. You might document your information flows. How does your information come into the system? How do you massage it? How does it go out of your system? maintain a hardware and software inventory. What do you have as small business? How many computers do you have? What software are you running on them? Who has access to them? Establish policies and roles and responsibilities. Again, here we're trying to build a cybersecurity culture. So you have roles. Who's going to handle the breach? Who's going to restore the business, restore the data? Who's going to notify the stakeholders? Do you have an insurance agency that needs to be notified? So you identify roles and responsibilities. And then what do you identify as a breach? When you were warned, an employee left the business with the laptop and it had all the information on it. Different types of threats and vulnerabilities, okay? You'll have to identify them. And then protect. Here we go. Protect. This is a big thing. Protect, protect, protect. Manage access to your assets and information. Who has access? Which employees have it? What roles? Is it your accounts payables? Is your receivables have access? Does everybody have access? And protect your sensitive data. Do you have trade secrets that you work with? I work with IP, so do you have trade secrets that you work with? Do you have people set up NDAs? How are you protecting your business that you run? Okay. Let's see. Train your users. Here we go. We need to train. I'm so glad to see so many people at this training. So this is a start. And then we go to detect. Detecting when you've had a data breach, you might know maybe some of your data has been changed. Maybe you have what they call an endpoint detection process or detection process to know that maybe you have a virus or something running on there. We have, they call MDRs and EDRs. So there are some out there. I can give you those software or the software that's running that I'll give you some ideas on them in a little bit. And then know how your data flows, okay? Know your system. And then if you notice that an anomaly is happening, you go and find out. Check your monitor logs, okay? And then maintain and monitor logs, and then understand the impact of your cybersecurity events. So if something happens, is your system going to be down for a couple of days and you're not going to be able to open your business and you're going to lose that money every day? Or was it just one computer and you turned it off, shut it off, isolated it, and your system can still run? Understand what kind of events are going to trigger a bigger response as a team. And then respond. If you have a data breach, if you've been hacked, have a response plan in place, test it, play with it, update it regularly. Don't just do this once every 3 years. You might update it every 6 months. After a data breach, have a response plan. Work with your stakeholders and make sure that they know what's going on. And then recover. This is where your backups come in place. Work with your stakeholders, have your recovery plan in place, and then you have to have your public relations and company reputation also think about as you recover. Are they going to change vendors because you can't protect their data? Are you going to lose the data because lose your customer because they were down for 3 days? So you have to think about your reputation and cybersecurity. Okay. So this again, this cybersecurity has to do with your devices, phones, computers, laptop, networks, computer systems. Second federal agency that I'm going to talk about is called the Cybersecurity Infrastructure and security agency, we have a group in New Mexico. Last October, they did a webinar for us. They are around to do tabletops. They go to government agencies and help them and check and do tabletops with them to see how secure their system is. The guy I'm working with, his name's Andrew, and he's been very good about it. And he has been very busy going to different government agencies and making sure that they're secure. But what the CISA agency does is they provide two guides. And one is the cyber guidance for small business. And this is where they're promoting a cybersecurity culture awareness, okay? And it needs to start at the CEO level and make sure that you provide support to your IT people, to everybody, and make sure that you come up with some kind of cybersecurity strategy. And then they also have a document called the Cross-Sector Cybersecurity Performance Goals. And here you see the same steps to follow. You govern it, you identify it, you protect it, detect, respond, and recover. Okay, this is a process that has been standardized, so everybody's following it. The CISA has a great checklist, and I'm going to stop sharing for a minute, and I'm going to share another document, and it's going to have, yeah, wait, just give me a minute. This is a non-planned one, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, now I'm going to share. They have a checklist, and I have that checklist on the slide here, and it goes through.
We could see it, Steffi, but it's rather small.
Okay. How's that? Better?
Much better.
Okay. So pretty much about everything I've been talking about and the your inventory, it comes through here, and they talk about the tip and risk addressed, and then the recommendation action. And then they give you a checklist, and you can print this. Some of them will work for you, some may not, but it's a starting point for you to have, okay? So I need to get back, okay. And I'm going back to, okay. Can you see my back at the slides?
You are under a slide called Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
Thank you, Christopher, thank you. Okay, so right here's that checklist that I just showed you. There's a link on it. So that's a good resource there from CISA. Another federal agency is called the Federal Trade Commission. And they don't just address privacy and cybersecurity. They address secure remote access to your office. This is brick and mortar. You know, do you have locks on your printer room? Do you, and then, so there's secure remote access. Maybe you have servers. Who has access to that? Are they locked? Do you have a keypad where they get in? Not everybody has access to it. Then also your physical security, your desks. Do you keep customer information on your desk while you're meeting with another customer so they could see that? When you leave your computer to go on break, do you lock it so nobody can see your screens out there? Are you at a window with your back to the window and people can see your screen? You have to be aware of that. And then another real important item that you have to address is your vendor security. So if you're working with a third-party vendor, what's their security? Are they tight on security like you are getting because you have the cybersecurity strategy? What do they do with your data? Are they selling it to a third party? You need to find out what kind of security a vendor has. And then a lot of folks right now have a website, okay? So you provide, you have a third-party vendor providing your website access. So what are they doing with the data that comes from your website into their system? Is it secure? Are they logging you? Are they selling you data? You need to find out the privacy, their privacy strategy, okay? And then what happens to your data when you close your business? What happens with all that data there? Are you disposing it correctly? Do they help you dispose of it? And then Federal Trade Commission also promotes cyber insurance. And one of the things about cyber insurance is that insurance agency is going to ask you, do you have a response plan in place? Do you have a recovery plan in place? When are you going to contact me if you are data breached? So you have to come up with a response plan and a recovery plan if you're going to get cyber insurance. And then some of them will require that you contact them first before you contact your lawyer, your IT people, if you are breached. Okay, so what the Federal Trade Commission does is they have a good website, and I put the link on here. Yes, you will be getting the slides. You will be able to access this. But they have these handouts, and they're really good handouts and are helpful. So they have the cybersecurity basics, insurance, web host, phishing, ransomware. So this is a good site to go for resources. Oh, and I see I have an error on my screen. Sorry about that. And then the last group I'm going to talk to you is called America's Small Business North Star. This is where all the SBDCs of the different states get together, and they call themselves the North Star. And they have a certification program, which I've taken, and that's why I'm able to produce these webinars. But we're going over we have new bosses, okay? And so all this information is under the cybersecurity old, my links right here, but they have a lot of information too on do's and don'ts. They have some for phones. I recommend that you go to this page and look at these resources before they're taken down. And if they're taken down, reach out to me and I can make sure that you get a hold of them. But all the groups in the United States, all the SBDCs are getting together and providing resources for the small businesses throughout the United States. So feel free to reach out to them. So these agencies have given us recommendations and guides. And so these are the most important ones that I think that a small business needs to come up with a cybersecurity strategy. And the most important thing is an inventory. What do you have? Software, hardware. How are you protecting it? Have good password hygiene. Update your software. Implement the multi-authentication factor. Educate your employees. Learn about email phishing. This is the number one place that person will get your credentials. Back up your data, back up your data, back up your data, test your backups, back up your data, and then look into cybersecurity insurance, and then have a response plan. And so for inventory, maybe use a spreadsheet, make a list, create an inventory of devices and software used to access the internet, sensitive information, and personal information for your business. Include your cell phones, include employees' cell phones if they're using them. Just know what's on your system, know what you have. And this meets the inventory and identify, it meets the NIST cybersecurity and privacy and CISLIS list of what to do on procedures. And then password hygiene, don't share passwords, okay? If you have a different password for each account, and right now they're recommending that the passwords be 14 to 16 characters, and that's lowercase and uppercase numbers, special characters. It's taking with the increase of the speed of a computer, it's taking less time for the smaller passwords to determine what they are. So now they're saying that 14 to 16 is a good number for your passwords. And then you go, I have so many passwords. Well, then use a password manager, okay? A password manager takes care of your passwords, creates new passwords. But I don't know. I do not use a password manager. I don't put all my passwords on my cell phone to access my computer for their internet connected. I don't know. There's just so many adversaries out there. But there are some passwords. And so there's a 1Password, NordPass, and Bitwarden. And again, if some of them are free, you pay for what you get. What you want to do is make sure they're not logging you, and you'll have to do a risk analysis on picking a password manager if you're interested in using one. And then I want to talk to you about default passwords like on servers or other devices. So sometimes you will buy like a firewall and it will have a password on it. And the password is like admin1. Well, every time they manufacture a firewall, they put that default password on. And if you don't change it, that default password will always be the same. So I could go onto the internet and I could search and go, what's the default password for the firewall, whatever name it is, and they'll come up with it. So if you don't change it, it will always be that default password and everybody would have access to it. So I recommend that you change your default passwords. And then an example, I told you about the password manager. And again, we're protecting, and governing. We're seeing who has access, the whole bit. And this hits the NIST Cybersecurity, the NIST Privacy, and CISA's list, okay? Activate your multi-authentication factor. So especially when you do banking. So when you do banking, you enter your password, and that's 1Password. And in response, you will get a code on your cell phone or on your email, or maybe if you have like a fob, and then you have to enter that code back into the system. So that's a second time you authenticate. So that's where you get your multi-authentication. And I recommend that you activate multi-authentication because you have access to your phone, you have access to your email, and the adversaries don't yet. So they might have gotten your first password, but they don't have the second password. So activate authentication, multi-authentication. Some examples of multi-authentication factor are RobForm and Zoho Vault. And I do have multi-authentication, but I don't know what it's called. So I just have it on my phone. And so, especially for your bank apps, use that. For your GL accounts, use that. Make sure you have that multi-authentication factor, especially for your business information, your financial information. Protect it. Protect it. That's a form of protection. Again, we hit the lists. Why do you update your software? Okay, update your software. So when you get an update to update your software, it is a patch, and a patch is fixing a problem that has been found. And usually that problem has been found by adversaries. And so there's a hole in the software and other people could get into it, the adversaries. So the reason you get patches is to fix that. So update your software as soon as you get it and update it on every machine. Update it. And this fixes the vulnerabilities in the software that adversaries get access to. So again, here we're protecting and governing and detecting a step, okay? And that hits CISA, NIST, privacy, and cybersecurity. So update your software, back up your systems. How many times do I have to say backup? Backup, backup, backup. have a process in place, schedule your regular backups, back up all your machines, all your data, important data, okay? Now you're gonna ask me, what about cloud backups, okay? Again, putting your stuff on the cloud is a risk, right? What's recommended is that your data be encrypted on a system because you are putting your data on a server that you have access through the cloud services, but it's not your computer right here in your office, okay? So they recommend that you encrypt it. You encrypt your sensitive data on traveling to the cloud, encrypt it while it's sitting on the cloud and when you're retrieving it, okay? So encrypt your data when traveling on the internet. And then also make sure that your backups work. If you have a data breach and you lose your data and you have to go buy a new computer to restore your data and your backup doesn't work, you are not going to be able to bring up your system, okay? But if you have if you've tested your backups, you know you feel confident, you could go get that new computer, start up, restore your data, and start up your business again with no downtime. So make sure you back up, make sure your backups work, and if you're sending your data across on the internet, encrypt it, okay? Again, recover, protect, control on the list. Back up your systems. And then again, educate yourself and employees. Phishing is the number one. 43% of businesses have been hacked through phishing, okay? When you get an email from somebody you do not know, do not click the link. Think before you click, okay? Do not click that link. And if you have any questions and they say, call this number, don't call that number on the email, okay? Call the contact person you know. If it's coming from your HR or if it's coming from your boss and they have the icons look the same, the logos look the same, but you know your boss normally doesn't ask for that. Get on the phone, call your boss and ask them. If you get a thing from your bank saying you need to update your information, call your bank. Do not call the number on that email because then you just get the adversaries. No, if you look at your from field on your email, you can see where that email is coming. And usually you can see your junk and it says exclamation point, JNK app sign, TMP Gmail. And they're saying they're from Zoom or something like that. And you go, God, that email address doesn't even make sense. So you know that it's phishing. They're looking to get your credentials. So if you ever have a question about an email, you're not expecting an email, contact the person that's supposedly sending you that email and find out. And if it's phishing, report it. On some of your emails, you can hit delete or you can hit reporting. And if you hit report, it will block that sender from sending that information to your email. What about people using their own devices on their system? Are they loading your data on their systems and taking them home? Make sure you know your policies about other people using their devices. And then again, build a cybersecurity culture. Talk cybersecurity with them. Protect, detect, respond, and recover, okay? And then here's your response plan. These are the major points of a response plan. And so I'm just going to share another sheet. Wait just a minute. Let me make sure it's up. Okay. Now I'm going to share my response plan. And
We are seeing it.
okay, thank you. So on our response plan, with the SBDCs, I have taken training on AI, okay? And they allow us to use it as long as we're not using personal identifiable information in it. And so I asked ChatGPT, what are the key components on a cybersecurity incident response plan? And I'm going to send this to you guys too with the slideshow, the slide deck, okay? And then we also recording this, so you'll get a link to the recording. But the first one is preparation, lay the foundation that contains a contact list, your asset inventory, your roles and responsibility, your plan to communicate, regular training, tabletop exercises, identify what is the incident, how do you know it's a breach, how did you see that data coming out, and then contain it. Are you going to disable it from the internet? How are you going to take the the malware off your system? Well, that's eradication. How are you going to clean it up? And then how are you going to recover it? You have those backups. How are you going to bring it on? Do you need to get a new computer? There's your recovery. These are steps. And then after your reset, who are you going to communicate with? Who do you have to call? You have to call your lawyers, your insurance agency. You have to let your boss know. You have to let the president know. You have to have sequences, because when that instance happens, you're like going, oh my God, I just hung up on that hacker. He wanted control of my computer, blah, blah, whatever. Have a review and continue to work on it. It's a living document. You continue to work on it. So that is something. And now I'm going to go back to my presentation. There's your response plan. And then let's see what I have next. Other items to consider, read the privacy policy on any software that you run. How are they collecting your data? What are they using it to make your experience better? Yeah, they're just logging you and tracking you so they can sell more information. If you have third-party vendors, what is their privacy policy? And then another thing that you should consider is a firewall. And that's what it is. It's either software or hardware or a combination of both that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on a set of security rules. So they run about $400 to $800, but that's a good investment. And then cyber insurance too. So we have talked about agencies providing you resources. I provided the links for you. There's the main points that I talked to you about: back up your data, watch for phishing, come up with a response plan. The SBDCs continue to have workshops and events. Where you registered for this class, there are some tax classes going on, accounting classes going on. I will be having intellectual property. The United States Patent and Trademark Office is coming and doing a presentation on August 27th. You'll get a link to that, recruiting you guys to come and attend. And then we provide counseling. This is my contact information. So I am going to stop sharing. If there's Q&A in the Q&A, we will start answering them, but I'm going to have Christopher launch our webinar survey, and it'll go for a couple of minutes. So if you can answer it, I'd appreciate it. I have to report to my stakeholders on how many people I train and provide information to. So,
We are launched. And nothing in the Q&A quite yet.
okay. I hope this webinar has been informative. You will get my links and the webinar slide deck, and then we are recording this, and it will be on our YouTube channel.
Steffi, the FTC has a great document on data breach response too, in addition to the cybersecurity stuff.
So I didn't put this on my presentation, but if you go www.fcc.gov, ic3.gov. This is the FBI's website that you go and report any cyber activity, any cyber breaches activity. Okay, again, ic3.gov. And that's to report. Again, if you have any Q&A, put it in the Q&A and we'll try to respond. Christopher, can you put that webpage on there, www.ic3.gov? I do recommend that people come up with a response plan, start thinking cyber strategy. On your websites, now that I'm looking at this, if you see an HTTPS, that means that it's a secure website versus a non-secure. Be careful when you go to the HTTP without the S. That's a good thing to look at. If you have any questions, you can contact me, my information. Let me see, I'm not sharing it. I'm not, oh, let's see. Did I share it? Yeah.
Yes,
And if you have any questions regarding intellectual property, maybe you might have an idea that you're looking to patent, or you have a business or product that you want to trademark, or you do artwork and you want to protect it with a copyright. Also, when you put your information out on the web, protect it some way. If you're selling artwork, protect it, your copyrights. So Christopher has put 2 links in the chat for you. Thank you, Christopher. Okay, how are we doing? Are we almost done? Give you a couple more minutes, okay? And then
we are 45% participated.
Awesome. Remember, I do have to, Christopher and I have to report to our stakeholders too. So thank you for participating in the poll. I hope this information has been helpful. And Christopher runs our Las Lunas SBDC. He's a business advisor there, and he helps clients with their business startups, business plans. Business plans equal response plans. They're about the same category. Everybody thinks they're hard. Then that's why I'm going to send you a template for a response plan. But I think it's important that everybody has one. More and more you hear data breach, data breach. But it's your responsibility if you collect it to protect it. So
Thank you for the plug, Steffi, and I agree. It's very important, something to consider. And the FTC has has like great document for most businesses, but if you're a government contracting business, you know how complicated it could get.
yes, and Apex is part of our ecosystem that helps with that. NIST 800 SP 171 R2 compliance documents. So that's always really helpful. Robert, we have had 29 participants in this class. And again, if you have any Q&A, any comments, you can put them in the Q&A. How are we doing, Christopher?
We are 77% participated.
Okay, we're getting questions. We're getting questions in the chat. We're getting some questions in the Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. We still have 10 minutes. Any questions, good. If you want me to go over some other stuff.
There's a question in the Q&A from Richard. Are there any vendors who have all of this figured out with products, software, hardware, or solutions, so we don't have to take time out to learn it the hard way?
No, I tried to put, I don't. Do you have any, Christopher?
Well, I'm sure there are vendors at we use Wolf. Um, let's see, what is it called? Wolf Cybersecurity. But Arctic Wolf is
Arctic Wolf,
Arctic
that's your,
Wolf.
yeah, that's your managed detect response, MDR. I don't know any vendors right now. I tried to put some of the products that one can get in, like you can use a password manager. You can use an antivirus, and I don't specialize in them. See, I don't specialize in all those, so I can't give any recommendations on that.
There are managed network providers. And if you're ever interested in that, Richard, you could reach out to your local SBDC and they could get a list free.
Oh, Richard, if you're looking for just government contracting, reach out to our Apex group, Alethea, and they provide that NIST 800 SP 171 R2 training. And she goes through with you all those 17 categories. And so Apex is the one that will help you, Richard.
I'm on board with Richard. Get somebody who knows.
Yeah.
Moira says, I have a Chromebook as my computer. Is this a secure system?
Secure from what? No, I don't know. What version of software you were running? Secure from getting your credentials. That they get that via phishing. If you update your software, you should have all your vulnerabilities taken care of. It depends what you store on your system and what software you're using, because your system, your Chrome is the device, and then you have software on it. So it depends on what software you have and what you're protecting. Because you could go on to your email and get a link, and then they could get you that way. So if you have a firewall, that protects people from coming in and taking your data and leaving. So it depends on what you're protecting. What other questions do we have?
You answered Richards. He was looking more for a government contract.
Right. How did everybody complete the survey?
They did. I closed it now.
Okay, and have other questions? Do we have other people that have questions?
I don't see any in the chat or Q&A as of now.
We have a couple more minutes to talk about other stuff if you're interested. I hate to give you back these 5 minutes. And even backing up your hard drive to a disk is some form of backup. Then you could insert your disk into another system. If you find a disk and you don't know whose it is, do not plug it into your system. They could have viruses on it. So be careful with jump drives, disks. We probably don't have disks anymore.
Floppy disks.
Yeah. I'm dating myself, okay, right? And reach out again if you have any questions regarding cybersecurity. We can set up a meeting if you have any questions regarding intellectual property, reach out to Steffi. If you have questions about your business, you can reach out to Christopher, or you may have another counselor, because we do have the SBDCs throughout the state. And again, we have 19 in our ecosystem, which is really good.
So there's a question from Nayeli. She's an acupuncturist in private practice and she takes insurance and uses billing management software.
Mm-hmm.
What should she be aware of?
Okay, where is that question?
It's in the chat. There is a whole lot you should be aware of, Nayeli.
Yeah, you should back up your systems. You should be you use an insurance and billing software management service. Find out about their privacy, what they would do if there was a breach. You need to protect your passwords. You should be using multi-authentication. Everything we talked about is going to relate to you. But one thing that's real important is find out about your third-party software management. If you get online, is your data getting encrypted as it travels to their software? If you're using their software online, is it stored encrypted? All the questions we talked about in this webinar. Do you just have one computer? Are you doing your backups on your system? Are you well, because you're taking insurance, you probably have HIPAA regulations that you have to follow. So make sure that you're following those to govern your data, you know. Why am I putting this in? Is this a requirement of HIPAA? Is this a requirement of the software management service? What are their security policies in place? I hope that answers your question.
It does, and what I would recommend for Nayeli would be cybersecurity insurance through her insurance provider. And just a lot of the times the cybersecurity insurances make you install certain software and keep up with certain cybersecurity requirements.
Build a response plan and a recovery plan. Insurance, cybersecurity insurance is requiring that you are proactively trying to protect your systems. And that's with the cybersecurity response and the recovery plans. So start building your cybersecurity culture for your small business. If you're the only one, you get yourself up to date on cybersecurity. A lot of these links will help you start reading and you go, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about. So when we talked about the govern, identify, I tried to break them down, and then I tried to break them down into specifically software update, password hygiene, back up your systems, update your software, educate your employees. And I hopefully you got something out of this. I think you should be aware of all of it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have a couple more minutes. Anybody else have questions, comments? Well, we're going to let you go with 1 minute, and I want to thank you for attending, and I especially want to thank those that filled out the survey. And again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. And thank you again for attending.